The Zarek War, a tale of unity, forged in fire. Because of their vicious efficiency and predatory nature, the Zarek were a race that was dreaded throughout the cosmos. When they set their sights on humans, they saw them as easy prey and underestimated the tenacity and resourcefulness of their chosen victims. Their reptilian appearance and superior hunting abilities made them formidable adversaries, thriving on the excitement of the hunt and frequently targeting weaker species to establish their dominance. The original motivation for hunting humans was simple: to assert superiority and expand their domain with little resistance. The Zarek launched brutal attacks on human colonies situated in remote parts of the galaxy. Their assaults were swift and merciless, leaving devastation in their wake. Settlements were razed and survivors were few, spreading tales of horror and despair. The Zarek reputation grew as colony after colony fell to their savage onslaught. They reveled in the fear they instilled, believing their dominance would remain unchallenged. Human colonies were thrown into chaos as the Zarek attacks intensified. Fear and desperation spread among the colonists who struggled to comprehend the relentless nature of their attackers. Families were torn apart. Entire communities decimated. The psychological toll was immense, and survivors were haunted by memories of the brutal hunts. But in this atmosphere of despair, a few key individuals emerged: military leaders, scientists, tacticians, those determined to turn the tide. Unbeknownst to the Zarek, humanity had not been idle. A covert military faction known as the Phantom Corps had been preparing for such a threat for years. Comprised of elite soldiers, scientists, and engineers, the Phantom Corps had developed advanced stealth and weaponry in secret. Their arsenal included cloaking devices, energy-based weapons, and sophisticated drones designed for both combat and reconnaissance. Their readiness was the result of meticulous planning and foresight, ensuring humanity had a fighting chance even against the most formidable of foes. The Phantom Corps initiated its plans the moment the Zarek began their strikes. Using cutting-edge technologies, the first counterstrike was a masterclass in surprise and strategy. Humans attacked the Zarek hunting groups in concert, using cloaked ships to sneak into enemy territory and launch precise, devastating strikes that left their foes helpless. The Zarek, used to uncontested dominance, were thrown into disarray by the ferocity and effectiveness of the human response. What they had once dismissed as weak resistance now stood tall as a formidable force. Energy weapons sliced through Zarek armor. Combat drones outmaneuvered the alien hunters, providing crucial support on the battlefield. Suddenly, the hunters became the hunted. The Zarek, shocked by their miscalculation, were engulfed in chaos. The balance of power began to shift. Humanity had arrived, and it wasn't too late. The Zarek's initial confusion and disbelief were evident, but after the shock subsided, they adapted, launching more organized and ferocious strikes. The war escalated, and both sides readied for a protracted conflict. The Zarek refined their tactics, implementing advanced tracking and precision assault techniques to combat human technology. With each engagement, the stakes rose, and the casualties mounted. Human colonies strengthened their defenses, but the relentless Zarek onslaught pushed them to the brink. In one pivotal battle, a daring human commander led a raid on a Zarek supply line. Cloaked ships slipped past enemy sensors, striking deep and hard, crippling the Zarek's logistics and halting their momentum. In another incident, a small outnumbered human outpost was surrounded and on the verge of annihilation, but with automated turrets and cutting-edge drones, they repelled the Zarek in a stunning display of tactical brilliance. There were many such moments: heroic sacrifices, brilliant strategies, and unwavering resolve. As the war dragged on, something began to shift. Zarek intelligence grew increasingly baffled by human success. Their strategies began to falter, and then came the strange inconsistencies. Intercepted Zarek communications revealed references to something else: an external force, a shadow in the background, whispers of an ancient race long thought to be legend. Pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, raising a terrifying possibility that both humanity and the Zarek were pawns in a much larger game. The first encounter with this ancient race occurred during a chaotic battle between human and Zarek forces. Their warships' sudden appearance halted the conflict, and both sides watched in awe and dread. The ancient race communicated their intent. They had manipulated the war, orchestrating events to weaken both species for their own ends. The tension was palpable. Humans and Zarek alike realized the gravity of the situation. An uneasy alliance was inevitable, and so began a new chapter in the fight for survival. Representatives from both sides met in a neutral area during the tense negotiations between humans and the Zarek, with each camp bringing its own set of demands and complaints. While the Zarek, represented by tough warriors, were skeptical of humanity's past cruelty, the humans, led by seasoned diplomat General Wallace, were wary of Zarek betrayal. Clever mistrust hovered in the air, and neither side was willing to share their resources or tactics. Important individuals who promoted cooperation surfaced. Strategist Krall, a Zarek tactician, regarded the Union as a necessary evil to ensure their survival, and Captain Mira, who had personally witnessed the advantages of unity in prior conflicts, stood firmly on the side of collaboration. But opposition lingered. Hardliners on both sides, hesitant to release the grip of old grudges, pushed back fiercely. Despite the difficulties, a deal was compelled by the sheer urgency of the ancient race's looming threat. The initial coordinated operations were meticulously prepared, combining Zarek military experience with human technological prowess. The Allied forces launched a series of well-coordinated strikes against the ancient race's strongholds. As the Atwai operations progressed, moments of true cooperation emerged. In one critical mission to disable a powerful ancient weapon, humans and Zarek fought side by side, their combined efforts leading to a hard-won victory. Still, the early days of the alliance were tainted by friction. Trust was a fragile thing, and misunderstandings nearly led to catastrophic failures. In a pivotal engagement, human and Zarek fleets carried out a daring plan, outflanking and destroying a heavily fortified ancient outpost. Human tactical ingenuity combined with Zarek brute strength and resilience resulted in a decisive victory that changed the course of the conflict. Major battles against the ancient race demonstrated the alliance's growing effectiveness, although not without internal strife. These victories showcased the combined strength of both species and something more: respect. Fighters from both sides began to rely on each other. Mistrust gave way to mutual honor. Then came betrayal. A senior Zarek officer, acting in secret, conspired with the ancient race to sabotage a vital mission. The result? Substantial casualties. The alliance trembled, confidence cracked, tensions soared. Strategist Krall and General Wallace worked tirelessly to uncover the traitor and repair the damage. It was a near-death blow to the alliance, but those who believed in unity grew only more determined. And then came the final battle. The human-Zarek alliance launched a full-scale assault on the enemy's central stronghold. It was the culmination of all their sacrifice, their technology, their trust, everything. Explosions rocked the battlefield. The air was thick with smoke and screams. Ground forces clashed in brutal hand-to-hand combat. Human commanders displayed strategic brilliance while Zarek fighters unleashed relentless fury. The turning point came when a joint strike team infiltrated the enemy command center, planting charges that crippled their control systems. The ancient race's forces began to falter, their manipulations exposed. Human engineers disabled critical defenses. Zarek warriors led fearless charges that shattered enemy lines. What once divided them was now the very strength that bound them. One by one, the ancient oppressors fell. In the aftermath, the battlefield was both devastated and victorious. Survivors stood among the wreckage, exhausted, relieved, changed. Cheers of victory mixed with tears for the fallen. In the resolution that followed, leaders from both humans and Zarek came together to formalize their newfound partnership. Agreements were signed, commitments made. The bond forged in fire held strong. Hostilities officially ended. The epilogue reflected on the themes of hidden strength, preparation, and unity. Human colonies began rebuilding, stronger, wiser, no longer alone. Diplomatic relations with the Zarak flourished, giving rise to new joint ventures in trade, defense, and exploration. And so the story closed with a hopeful message. Through adversity, through blood and betrayal, two once bitter enemies discovered the greatest truth of all, that their strength was in each other. A tentative peace had been forged, a new future awaited, and the galaxy would never be the same.